So Zach, two straight wins now for the Baylor Bears, homecoming victory, and they kind of ran wild.
Man, they were just they had first 2 game winning streak since I've been here. So, that's
Wow.
anyway, yeah, they were running they were just going crazy, man. Like everything that all the good vibes, all the good momentum from Texas Tech kind of carried over.
Mm,
This was much tighter game against Oklahoma State,
sure.
10-point win. But all the good things that were from Texas Tech, you still saw,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it carried over, and especially in the running game. Dawson Pendergrass goes for career high,
Yeah.
and not just any career high. Like he had some jukes, some runs, some speed. He was doing it all. So I
Maybe
mean,
every week we're just going to be asking, where has that
where
been?
has it been? Where has
Because
that been?
this week it was Dawson Pendergrass, and yeah, I mean, I said it in my column that he kind of looked like the second coming of Barry Sanders. I mean, he's making jump cuts, he's like scooting through the holes and outrunning everybody,
And I
and
don't know if I would necessarily consider Dawson Pendergrass like a speedster. Like he's
right,
like Richard Reese, I think of like he's a guy who's gonna like hit the hole, make
sure,
one move and then go. Whereas
yeah,
Dawson Pendergrass is more of a bowling ball, and I don't
yeah.
expect bowling balls to run that fast.
Right, exactly. But obviously the play of the game for him and probably for Baylor
Mhm.
was the icing touchdown at the end when it looks like they stack him up and he just and obviously he gave a big assist to Sidney Fugar, his O lineman who basically kind of just dragged him out of the pile.
In the lead to my story, I called it. I think I called it the warm embrace of Sidney Fugar propelled him to the end zone.
Nice,
It was
nice.
so yeah. That was quite the run, quite the play, and I think it really summed up what Baylor kind of wants to do. Because like you mentioned, Sidney Fugar, this offensive line cannot be overlooked,
Mm,
and like last year, rightfully so, they got a lot of crap. Like rightfully so, because they were
sure.
not very good. But this year they started kind of shaky. They made a lot of moves, and now they've really settled on 5 guys with Sidney Fugar out there at left tackle. Ryan Lingell, who's he was kind of overlooked for 3 years, and now he's in there at left guard. And this offensive line cannot be. You have to mention them when you're mentioning this running game.
Absolutely. I wrote about them this week and to me you're right. They're a huge key to this success. I think, there's still some things for Baylor that they've got to get worked on, cleaned up, but the nice thing is for Baylor, to do that after you've won a game
Right.
rather than, all the problems they had earlier in the year.
Well, and I think Aranda was talking about it in the post game. It's like there is that he understands the situation they were in. The winning 3 games last year was not good. He was on the hot seat, and he's still frankly on the hot seat. So he knows that there is pressure to win. But like you said, it's much easier to correct some of the missed tackles and some of the drop passes. Even like that's so much easier to say, hey, we won the game, but here's some of the got to check this off and stuff. So. Yeah.
Do you think his heart was in his throat when he saw Sawyer on lying on the turf? Ooh,
Man, that was I think everybody in the stadium was like, that's because it is Sawyer coming in has changed the outlook of this team. He is
it's
the
his team.
he's the catalyst,
Yeah, it's
and
his team.
he is a confident guy, and every single person we talk to and we ask about Sawyer is like, yeah, we want to play for this guy.
Yeah.
And he is the leader.
And really, I
Yeah.
don't even mean that as a knock on DeQuan Fenton
Right,
at
right.
all, who we saw get into the game last week against Tech and really show his speed again. But yeah, I mean Sawyer, you just have to give it up for him because he battled. Uh he came in when DeQuan got injured, and then he just made it his own,
It's his team. It
Yeah.
is his team, and it's you can never. I feel like every time we talk or every time whatever, Sawyer Robertson is the center of conversation, but like him starting has turned around the season. And yes, there's a lot of people, but Sawyer has been the focal point and the main reason the ship has kind of righted.
So they got TCU next week at home, a 7 o'clock game, a night game. They'll bring back the 2013 and 14 Big 12 championship teams, which were much beloved at Baylor, obviously. And I'm just going to look at the camera right now because I'm going to address the fans and I'm going to say, get your butt to the stadium. I mean, I said it in my column. There, for a homecoming game, to me, it was a little disappointing in terms of, there were still a lot of fans dressed as empty seats,
And say what you want about Dave Aranda and his personality, and he's not the most fiery guy. I think, admittedly, so he's not the most fiery guy, but this team is fun.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. And that was basically the gist of my whole column was, they're actually cool enough to hang out with, I mean, because, and I even said, even if they would have blown the lead and lost it today, I mean, at least they're entertaining,
right, right,
One of the big complaints I heard a lot from Baylor fans last year was not just that they were bad, but they were boring.
yeah.
They were very predictable. They were very, just you saw a lot of the same thing every week, even if it wasn't working. So, yeah, I mean, I think this team, they're entertaining, they're fun, they're making crazy highlights, I mean,
Well, and like to me, like I am always going to be optimistic about things, I think, and for better or worse. And next week, like all of the points line up for this to be for McLean Stadium to be packed. Night game, blackout jerseys, bringing back the two-time champion. So my question for you is, do you think it'll happen? Do you think McLean Stadium will
oh,
be
yeah.
do you think McLean Stadium will be rocking more than it has been, coming off 2 wins, all of those things? Like, do you think Baylor fans will show up? You're calling for them to. I agree with that. Will they?
Yes, I do think they will. I actually do. I think for all the reasons you said, I think it wasn't a terrible crowd today, okay? But it wasn't a great crowd. And one of the things that I think some Baylor fans still needed to have it proven to them.
Yeah.
Now you got 2 wins in a row. Like you said, it's a winning streak. And
First one in like 2 years.
right. And then the other thing, I mean, Baylor fans, um, they'd rather come at night when the sun's not shining on
That's
them.
true.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just the way it is, and I get it. It's not always comfortable, but you have no excuses next week. So, I think they will show up, and the extra of having the old Big 12 championship teams here will be cool. A lot of people will get into that. And then, you mentioned the blackout thing. That's always fun.
A
So,
school sanctioned blackout. By the way.
yeah.
This is not
Ooh,
like fanned. This is, Baylor is encouraging you to wear black.
nice.
So I think that's a step in the right direction.
Well, right. And it does not surprise me that they're doing that against TCU
Right.
because, well, the 61-58 game was a blackout game. So
Right.
they want to bring back the good vibe.
I am not putting it past this Baylor team to put up 61 points.
Yeah.
Steve, like, whatever.
And the way
We're
they're
getting ahead of
tackling, they
ourselves.
might give up
There you
58.
go. There you go.
So
There
we'll
you go.
see. All right. See ya.